My name is Nelson Alcantara. I'm with eTurbo News, and my question is from Mark Howell. You're familiar with the European Tour Operators Association, sir? Just a couple of days ago, they put out a press release saying Olympics is actually a tourism problem. In their release, they said ETOA has looked at visitor arrival statistics for the past Olympics in Beijing in 2008, Athens in 2004, Sydney in 2000, Atlanta in 96, Barcelona in 92, and Seoul in 88. And they're saying that while some of the games saw a peak in demand during the games, also a major disruption to their normal tourism market and none revealed any conspicuous tourism growth. Your response?
Yes, I was expecting that one. I have to
say. You were.
Thank you for not disappointing me. Okay, well what I will say is this. If you look at a lot of those destinations were long-haul destinations. As I alluded to earlier, it's a long way to go down to Sydney, to Beijing. There are visa situations, and they're very different cities to London. London is 90% full most of the time. We have 3.3 million visitors in July in the city, same amount for August period. And while, yes, there will be people that will go out of town, sure, there'll be people that will probably rent their house out to people to be able to use that facility and come in. More people will come into the city than will go out. The displacement, I think, is what you're talking about, the number of people that will move away from the city. But London has a huge number of people that come in anyway. The number of ways that you can come into the city are absolutely huge. People will come in on the Eurostar. We think there'll be a very transient audience coming into the city during the Games period. You can come, we're working with the Dutch authorities at the moment, and they reckon that London will be the closest city you can get to, other than Rotterdam if you live in Amsterdam, than any previous Olympics, half an hour from Schiphol Airport into City Airport. As a result of that, a lot of the things that are being said in this, we actually don't necessarily believe will come to fruition, because they're based on previous cities that are not the same as London. It is much easier to come in from Northern Europe. People will come in and actually have more access through trains, through coming into the ports, coming in on the Eurostar, which will be running later. They can come direct into the city from Paris. It's only a very short journey, and it's a different proposition. And I don't think you can compare each Olympic city as being exactly the same. What happened in Beijing is not the same as will happen in London. And I was down, I was in Atlanta, I was in Sydney, I was lucky enough to be in Athens as well. And each of those cities, are, if you look at normally, it's 4-hour minimum flight to get down to Athens. For London, it's a half-hour flighting or even closer for most, northern European destinations. And on top of that, our major markets are the US, Canada and such like, where we get a huge number of visitors from anyway. And the diversity of offering that London has is vastly different to a lot of those other cities. If you look at the Western musicals, the theatre, the entertainment and such like, that will add to the Olympic experience, we believe that those will be real reasons why more people will want to come into the city than would necessarily want to stay away.
Can I add?
Okay, is that a satisfactory answer? I mean, I would say, Mark, it is a common criticism of the Olympics. And what I get from your answer is that you're saying actually London's going to be different because London's London and it's much more accessible than the other destinations. But is Visit London actually doing anything different to ensure it overcomes the challenges that previous Olympics has experienced?
Yeah, and I think one of the key elements of that is actually being very proactive in the period prior to the Games. I think it's very easy to sit back and think that it'll just happen, just because you're hosting an Olympic Games. And for us, one of the key things is to be very proactive in the marketing and in the PR to make sure that people are very aware, well in advance, of all the things that are going to be happening. So if you look at, there's a city operations group which is looking now at which attractions will be up and running come 2012, which theatre productions are going to be in place, which shows are going to be on, what's going to be on in the museums, what is there going to be free for people to come and see, how are the live sites going to work, which are all big reasons, big pulls for the general public to come in, and reasons for them to come in even if they don't have a ticket to the 100-metre final, because only 80,000 people are going to see Usain Bolt or whoever vying for the 100-metre title. what's key is to let people know well in advance all the things that they can do, so that when they make that decision, is London a city that I want to be in come the game's time, and is there going to be other things for me to do? They are very well aware of all the other attractions that are going to be available to them. And let's also not forget that London's also going to be a kind of a staging post for people to come in and then go out and enjoy the rest of the UK as well. You know, and you see that with Olympics as well. You know, we're working very closely with Visit Britain to make sure that there's a cohesive programme, so that if people come in, do 2 or 3 days at the games, you know, in the city and enjoy that part of it, they can then know what else there is to go and see around the rest of the UK. And for many, it'll be a chance to make that once-in-a-lifetime excursion over to these shores.
I think Susan would like to add as well.
I think you also have to look at the Olympics as a long-term investment. One of the things, and when you ask what's being done that's different, if you talk to, which Canada has done, when we talk to our colleagues in other destinations and ask them if they could have changed one thing, if they could have done something differently, and for all of the truly successful hosts, and there were many, and they were incredibly giving in terms of their best practices and their information, the takeaway that we had was the conversion piece, the post games. So we actually are putting a full 50% of our overall Olympic marketing investment for the country post games. So the intent is that because most of this, you're also having the viewers, right? The viewers are seeing the extraordinary opportunities, what's different, what's exciting, what's new. And if you can engage them so that afterward there's a way to purchase that experience, now you're doing something different instead of expecting the event itself to do all the heavy lifting. So so I'm willing to bet as we go into the future, you are going to see as tourism and sports tourism become even closer partners, you're going to see that type of opportunity is leveraging that aspect of it to create a different type of outcome.